starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Matthew Holmes is a proud Southerner, author who honors his Confederate ancestors. Just like his ancestors, he continues to be a fire eater and hell-bent on Southern secession of the illegally occupied Confederate States of America. Corrupt politicians do everything to dismantle our beloved Southern culture. They continue to destroy our monuments to our gallant Confederate heroes. Matthew Holmes is a proud Southerner, an author who honors his Confederate ancestors.
Yeah, why is there every time I hear this song, I'm going, yeehaw! That's just me. Hey, tonight it is Jenn, the homeschooling mom, myself, and our guest, Matthew Holmes, author and historian. Before we get started, Matthew shared something with me. He wants me to quote him, so quotation marks. It is why I fly the flags of the Confederacy. We live in a time in history where good is depicted as evil and evil is depicted as good. The vast majority of people no longer follow the Ten Commandments, especially the specific one that states, honor thy mother and thy father. How is this so, you may ask? Well, this is very easy to see. We as Christians are not supposed to follow the evil, wicked ways of the world because it's evil. This commandment is clearly ignored as the new majority attack their own ancestors that they are descended from. We as Christians are supposed to follow the ways of Christ. We're not supposed to follow the ways of the world. As an Orthodox Christian and a free thinker, I put Christ first. I venerate our saints and I pray for others who may condemn me, for they don't know what they're doing. I fly the flag to honor my brave, gallant Confederate ancestors because without their very own existence, I wouldn't even exist. Without their existence, without their blood that I'm descended from, I would never knew what life nor the kingdom of heaven would be like because I would not exist. I honor them, and I don't spit on the very image just because of a satanic Marxist narrative depicting everything that they disagree with as evil. This is another prime example why I don't pay attention to the mainstream media because it's evil and caters directly to this narrative that attacks our faith. Matthew Edward Holmes, quotes unquote. Wow, that says a lot right there. Um, Before we get started, John, I just mentioned to Matthew that I wanted to just mention his books again. He's going to talk about something he has in the works right now. And you have a list of things, right, that you want to talk about. And then we're going to, in between that, we're going to then um, uh, have some videos. So, folks, if you're watching, we may go 90 minutes. I don't know. I'll try and keep it to the hour, but we'll do the best we can. So, we are here because Matthew is a venerative author. He writes about his family. As you can see, the pride in his writing about what they went through. Uh, People who live in the North usually call the war the Civil War. Those in the South call it the War of uh, the war between the North and the South, the war of aggression, or the war for independence. Uh, the first book I want to show you is called Spirit of Vengeance. Matthew, can you quickly say what this particular book is about?
Yes, actually, I can. So the reason why it is called that is because during the year of 1864, Union soldiers they came to my family's home in Morgan County, Western Virginia, which is now West Virginia, and they shot Christopher Miller the third point blank in the head
Hmm.
because he would not let them take his property.
Now, this book here, Blood in the Mountains, want to quickly describe what's in here?
That yes, actually. So that's my fourth great grandfather. He was a local hero here. He defended the mountains of Southwest Virginia, East Tennessee, and he fought through the entire war until he was actually wounded at the Battle of Bentonville, North Carolina in 1865.
And Hell in the Cell.
Hell in the Cell is about my third great grandfather, which would be Private Matthew Seymour Marshall and his father Richard Marshall. And what's special about them, they were in the 52nd North Carolina Infantry and they were captured and sent to Point Lookout. Thus, why the title is Hell in the Cell, because they were literally living in hell.
Folks, real quick, when I first got that book, I'm usually the kind of guy that, I'll start reading the front, beginning of it, and say, well, I wonder how this is going to end, because I don't want to read an entire book and to find out I'm not going to like how it ends. Uh, but I started reading, back all of it. It takes me 4 or 5 days to read these books because I'm so I've become part of it. It's like I'm right there in the trenches fighting along with his relatives. Chemtrails over Dixieland.
Oh, yes, my most controversial book. And the reason why I have that is because I figured it was time we get actual Southern justice and evidence that the United States federal government will do everything they can to keep the South as their personal slaves by poisoning the air and creating natural disasters to control them, along with many other evil deeds that they do, such as human trafficking.
Now this one, I have to say, this one here is going to take me to at least December to finish reading. It is a huge book, over five. It's what 511 pages long.
Yes,
The War That Never Ended: Secede Your Mind from the Modern World.
that book is basically my version of 1984 by George Orwell.
Hmm.
And so, in that book alone, there's about 400 years of forbidden history.
You said forbidden.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot of my files from that they came from the FBI and the CIA, the Black Vault.
And they probably have your number and address on speed dial.
Oh yeah, I'm aware. During that time I released that, I kept getting restricted phone calls.
Wow.
This went on for months upon months upon months.
So we're here right now to discuss this one here. I want to tell you what, folks. If you need a book to read on a dark, stormy night and you want to cuddle up in your bed or your reclining chair with a hot toddy and a blanket and you want to be scared out of your wits, this is the book that does it. Before we went live, I said to Matthew, the reason why we didn't do this broadcast last Tuesday was because that Jenn pointed out to me, and I didn't put two and two together to make five, but she said to me, she said, Randy, do you realize that that book is almost identical to what happened in Israel? It's almost like Hamas had gotten a copy of his book and followed it step by step. And we're going to go into, I want to say great detail. 'Cause I don't want to, upset too many people because I want you to read this book. It just goes to show you how mankind can degrade himself to point that there's no soul left in him to do the things that were done to these people, his family. The road to hell and back. This is about his family members and what happened to them. I got some videos that's going to correspond to the book. I'm not going to show the entire length of the videos because they're very lengthy. I just want to get you an idea of what his ancestors went through. So, Jen, I know you have some points of the summary. Where do you want to go with first?
Well, hi. Good to see you, Mr. Holmes.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, you're really good at describing things. And when I started reading this, I mean, you described how it was cold, and the soldiers are walking through the snow in winter, and it was just miserable. I was cold. I was like, this, okay, it's already starting out where I'm not comfortable. I need slippers and an electric blanket. But then it was so descriptive, it was insane. And then like Randy was saying, the same tactics that were done on the Southerners at this
Mhm.
time is what we relived on, television 2 years ago. And it's just crazy how this stuff happens. But okay, now this is crazy. I am all for families doing things together, like going on vacation, but this was not a vacation. They went to war together. And I remember from the first book I read, it was insane. I'm like, there's a father and a son, and they're just doing their civil duty. And that was amazing. And you have it written so well. I feel like I'm not allowed to read stuff. It's like someone's diary or journal, and that's really cool. But okay. Oh, what was I going to
Yes,
ask?
I do my stuff in a first person perspective,
Very
which is
good, and
very rare.
you did not have to say, like, we didn't know that if they were black or if they were white. It didn't matter. It was just that we recognized, oh my gosh, this is a father and a son. This is like what they do. It's a family of warriors. It was good. Okay. Um, if you didn't write this, that they did like go to war, this is what they did, I wouldn't believe it. It's crazy. But you also brought in the human aspect of it when the father would come home and he'd hug his wife. It was crazy. But okay, this is the one where he has his wife and a baby for real.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And they were hanging out at camp or in a
Yes.
cave? Yeah, tell me about this.
So during the time of that time, there was the Washington County Militia, which he was a part of. They weren't a part of a regular unit in the Revolutionary War. They were state militia. So they didn't really follow the rules that applied to infantry, etc., because they were state militia. So they had their own regulations.
Okay. Wow.
That's why, and you'll even find this in historical information regarding what happened at Runnels Station, that there was, and I quote, babies crushed under cartwheels.
Dear
Um, I want to, if you're ready, Jen, I want to share the first video clip. Now, Matthew, I know I'm going to butcher this name because I butchered it when I was talking to you in the green room. Uh, can you tell us briefly what happened at Fort Michilimackinac? You know what it is, I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Now, basically,
Thank you.
right, so basically what happened was the Washington County, Virginia militia, they had set out to basically do patrols and build forts. And then you had the British that came and attacked them. They were overwhelmed.
Okay, so I'm going to start bring this into the screen here. Bum, 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 bum. And folks who are watching, especially Facebook, the videos I'm going to be sharing are in the public domain. This broadcast is for educational purposes only, and no one is getting paid for anything. So here we go.
Between 1754 and 1763, Great Britain and France engaged in a global war. Today, known as the 7 Years' War or the French and Indian War, this conflict took place in Europe, Africa, India, the South Pacific, the Caribbean, and North America. After years of hard fighting on land and sea, the British were victorious, claiming French territories around the world. In North America, they inherited French Canada as well as the Great Lakes region. Victory came at a high price, however, as waging a global war had stretched the British military thin and depleted the royal treasury. As British troops marched into the Great Lakes to occupy posts such as Michilimackinac, they encountered a complex web of relationships between Europeans and the local Native Americans. After the war, many of these native groups, previously allied with the French, did not consider themselves defeated. Instead, they continued to defend their traditional culture and lifestyle, as they had done for centuries. In an effort to cut British costs, Commander-in-Chief Jeffrey Amherst stopped the flow of official gifts to the native leaders. These gifts, which were an important part of native culture and had helped maintain good relations between native and European traders, were now viewed as an unnecessary expense. In addition to maintaining many older French forts, the British built a string of posts deep into their newly acquired territory, attracting an increasing flow of settlers to the undeveloped regions west of the Appalachian Mountains. These settlers displaced native peoples and threatened the very existence of their way of life. Although some British officials and settlers tried to protect the Native Americans, many, including Amherst, viewed the native people with nothing but racist contempt. The native people...
Okay, and that's where we're going to stop it because what we're having happen here is the Native Americans, of course they weren't called that at that time, were military partners with the French.
Yes.
The French lost the war, and now the English were going to use these natives as their additional manpower for battle.
Well, in Matthew's letters, he actually used the Indians as cannon fodder.
Yeah. Do you what's next on your list?
Oh, I was going to bring up the fact that I hadn't realized that the South. Oh, hold on. There is so much backfeed. I'm in stereo. Can you pick that up, Randy? Can you fix it?
I'm not hearing any back feed.
Okay, well, let's just go on. Anyhow, that was at
Let
Fort.
me ask you a question. Another person wanted me to ask you this question. I didn't get a chance to do that. I know you have headphones on. Is the audio that you're listening to coming through your headphones as well as your computer, or just your headphones?
Just my headphones. It's fine until now. I mean, the video was fine.
I'm not sure. I'm not hearing it.
Okay,
You know what? I am hearing it when you talk. It's like almost like a vibration kind of sound.
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, well,
Okay.
we'll just proceed ahead, and if it gets any worse, then we're going to have to maybe do something different. But I'm not hearing on my end. I hear it when you talk for sure, but I guess we go. So on your summary, what's your next one?
The next question was that I had not realized that the South was not just fighting the North, but also the Indians were involved as well. And we actually went up to Fort Michilimackinac. It's right in Mackinac.
Oh, that's easy for you to say. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
we
Oh,
were
yeah.
there. No, we saw a reenactment like every time we go up there for the last 20 years of my life. No, until we moved here, we would see that. So so when I'm reading your book and I see these places, I'm like, oh my gosh, it is for real. Not like it wouldn't be real, but
Yeah.
wow, it's good. Go ahead.
So, uh,
So how scary did the Native Americans make the war? I mean, some of these tactics are so
They
barbaric.
were the tactics they used were beyond brutal, if I'm honest here. And I believe that some of these tactics were actually adapted by the U.S. military right after because we've seen what they done to the South. Very similar tactics.
wow.
Yeah, and you kind of can't blame them because I mean, it was their land before the white man came over to take it, you know. So it's a real conundrum that people are in. But anyhow, I was shocked but happy by the end of chapter 16 when the main character says, we're going to ask God for help. I
Yeah.
was like, well, that's nice because until then it was terrible. But
Yeah, yeah, it's
go ahead.
amazing that as humans, we try to resolve the issue ourselves by making use of our own what we have in hand until we get to a point where we are down and out and everything seems lost, and that's when we cry out to God for help. And that's been the history of mankind. I mean, look at Israel.
Oh
Every
yes.
time Israel won in the battle, God said, "Pray before you go into battle. I'll be with you. When you don't pray before you go into battle, I won't be with you, and you'll lose." And that's what they experience. Um, Next one is Dinwiddie Court. Give us a little background on that, and I got a couple of videos to show on that.
You said Dinwiddie Court. You
Yeah,
talking about like
the Battle of Dinwiddie.
oh, I'm trying to remember what year that was. I think it was 1864. I have to go back in my work again because, like I said, I've been multitasking here because I have another project I've been working on.
Yeah. Okay, no biggie. Let's get into the video then. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Make it bigger. Bring you over
Oh,
here.
okay. You're talking about the one from the war on the yeah, my focus is that.
Okay. The guy does not know how to hold the camera, does he? Um, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I could never understand that form of fighting when you're standing in line 3 or 4 deep, and you're just, it's just a matter of numbers. If you got the numbers, you'll win. I see a lot of bullets flying, but no one's dropping. Okay, I think you guys get the gist of that.
Yeah.
So next up is the massacre at Ruddle Station. You want to talk about that?
Actually, I will. So, my family, the Lettons, they were stationed at what they called Ruddle Station at the time. They was at the paymaster's house, who was the one who actually paid for their, of course, their money in the militia. And they were actually attacked by the British, and the British basically wanted to take over the fort. They were shooting cannons at the fort. They actually burnt several supply wagons, and then they went and started attacking the children
Hmm.
and the children of the militiamen. This was a very disgusting act.
I want to tell you what, folks. When I was reading this about the massacre, it made my stomach sick. It made me sick in the sense that I still couldn't believe that men could do this. I want to first give a shout out to David Novar, a good friend of mine, and Jen as well. Also, and I apologize if I misstate your name, Azuro Bettingen. He says, "Fly high the unreconstructed banner, Matt Holmes. The Commonwealth needs gallant men of the new path like yourself to continue on the traditions made strong by the gallant." And then he has Sir H.K. Edgerton. I guess there's a quote. And
Yes.
Robin Bronson is also watching. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions throughout this broadcast, please type in the comments section and we will address the questions. Um, so you were saying about the Ruddles massacre, and like I was saying, uh, for men to do what they do to other men and women and children and babies and animals, um, it's disgusting. And I, it's mind blowing.
When I read that letter that Solomon Litton had describing it, I wasn't just disgusted, but I had building, anger inside me from it.
Jen, what do you think about the massacre at Ruddles Station?
I cannot I cannot think about it. It was shocking. It really was. But that's what they do in war. It's disgusting.
Okay. Now, these next couple of videos are thanks to a friend of mine, Colonel Russ Carlson. He owns the Family Tree Nuts. He's on Facebook. He's a millionaire. He has hundreds of people working for him. They do genealogy, they create videos. And he's a friend of mine. And he wholly backs what I do, and he said that I can share any of his videos that I want, and he would not, obviously they're in public domain, but he said yes, absolutely. So again, Facebook, what you're about to see is courtesy of Colonel Russ Carlson with his permission. Here we go. Okay, and there's a follow up to that. Give me one moment. Here we go. After the commercial.
Hi, it's Mark Barden from Sandy Hook Promise.
Do you want to hear him?
Yeah, I tried to.
Here we go.
Americans rushed in and ripped babies from their mother's breast. They beat and massacred settlers in unbridled fury. It was one of the worst massacres in all of the Revolutionary War. And those that survived were in for years of misery. Hey everybody, this is Russ Carson Jr. with Family Tree Nuts, and I'm at the graveside of Captain Isaac Ruddle. And we're in Stoner Mouth Cemetery in Ruddle's Mills in Bourbon County, Kentucky. The story here begins in 1775 when John Hingston led about 15 families to settle here in the area. This was the same year that several other historic stations were founded in central Kentucky, including Fort Boonesboro. The station they built was on a flat ridge above the south fork of the Licking River. The settlement was on an old game trail, a buffalo trace, in between McClellan Station that eventually became Georgetown, Kentucky, and Blue Licks. The settlement contained about 15 cabins. In 1776, they built a blockhouse with the help of none other Simon Kenton and Thomas White. But later in the year of 1776, the pioneers were forced to leave the station due to Native American attacks in the area. The settlement lay empty for a few years until Captain Isaac Ruddle came to the area. Isaac Ruddle was born in 1732 in the German settlements of Pennsylvania. He later moved to the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. In 1775, he came with his family and his wife's family, the Bowmans, through the Cumberland Gap to settle at Fort Boonesboro. Fort Boonesboro was in its infancy, being founded by Daniel Boone just a few months prior.
My
Isaac joined the
ancestor.
militia, and they were tasked with defending the early settlements on the frontier. In 1778, he was part of George Rogers Clark's Illinois campaign against the Native Americans. He was in charge of stores and supplies on the Corn Island settlement at the Falls of the Ohio. That settlement eventually became Louisville, Kentucky. In 1779, Ruddles took his family and a group of settlers to the abandoned Hingston Station. They expanded the fort, and now it took on the name Ruddle Station. Over the next year, Pennsylvania Dutch pioneers poured into the area, settling here at Ruddle Station and nearby Martin Station. About this same time, British Captain Henry Byrd was at Fort Detroit. He was tasked with attacking colonial settlements on the Kentucky frontier. These attacks had happened before, but this time they brought artillery, 6 cannon to be exact. Captain Byrd left Fort Detroit on May the 28th with about 150 British troops. He also had a few Native Americans with him. Along the route, more and more Native Americans joined them until they had a force of about 1,000 of them. There was a few names of note that you've probably heard of, including Simon Girty and Blue Jacket. The British had the difficult challenge of moving the cannon, so they went the water route. The troops went down the Detroit and the Miami River into the Ohio, where they went upriver into the Licking River, which flows close to this area. It took the troops about a month to arrive here, and on the night of June 21st, 1780, they surrounded Ruddle Station. The next morning, the siege was on. Now, there's different accounts of what happened that day. Some say that they didn't fire the cannon at all. Just the mere sight of the cannon was enough for them to be afraid. Another account says that they fired the cannons and breached the walls. Either way, the American settlers inside the fort knew that the situation was hopeless. Captain Ruddles worked out a deal with Captain Byrd to make sure that the pioneers were treated as British captives and that no one would be harmed. But the Shawnee ignored this, and they rushed the fort for plunder, slashing anyone that got in their way. Byrd himself later wrote, "They rushed in, tore the poor children from their mother's breast, and killed and wounded many." Captain Ruddle's 3-year-old son was one of the ones that were murdered, and it is said that 20 souls perished in that ruthless, vicious attack. Now I'd like you to take just a second and let that scene sink in.
Absolutely. And I think
Too
that
often, these are the things that are
um, uh, Matthew can address that as well. That particular scene with the attack with the Indians.
Yes, it was some of the Cherokee and the Shawnee, and they were working with the British.
Jen, what's next on your list? 'Cause I'm sorry, I don't have a copy of it.
No, that's okay. No, that a lot of those stories were in the 1700s. I wanted to bring it back to the 1800s. Could you tell me about this guy is fascinating. Colonel Caleb Pollockfield Lytton Sr. Now,
Yes,
from what I understand, he started out in England
mhm.
working for, he was serving under the King's Royal Dragons.
Royal Dragoons. Yes,
Oh,
he was King's cavalry when he came to Maryland. He was still under the King's cavalry.
okay. And he was coming here to the New World
Hmm.
to help the South get free from the Union?
Not necessarily. He came here for a new opportunity.
Okay. Okay, like to start
He-
a family and a
yes.
farm?
Also, they were having major religious persecution at the time in England.
Okay. So did he come here and fight with the South? The
No,
Confederacy?
Caleb Pollock fell to Lytton was actually before the Revolutionary War, and he was in the French and Indian War, if I'm not mistaken, because he died right at that time period. But
Okay.
his great grandchildren were in fact Confederates.
Okay. I couldn't understand. He was such a highly decorated
Yes,
soldier, and he was buried with honors in Maryland,
yes,
and I was just trying to tie together how he was with the Confederacy, but you just did.
yeah, it was his
Okay.
grandchildren.
Okay, that's great. And I wanted to say my favorite quote, it's at the end of your book, but I love how you say this and it makes sense. And I hate that this is true, but okay, it says being killed or KIA, killed in action in war is not the worst. Being missing in war or MIA is still not the worst. Being forgotten and then erased by history, that is the worst, and this is why you do what you do. And
Yeah,
I love that. That's very good. So, I keep up the good work. I just absolutely love it. Your writing's really good. And can you tell us some positives how this is going with the South? Because I know that they can't
definitely,
secede. Yes, you tell. How's this going?
definitely. So, a lot would have to do with this with my fifth great grandfather, John Whitley Lytton III. And what was special about him was he was in the 16th Virginia Cavalry, and he served the entire war up until 1864 when he got discharged. And he was medically discharged for intestinal disease. So he had suffered the rest of the years prior to that and died in 1866. However, his first cousins, never returned home because they died as POWs at Helmira.
Wow.
I think what she was also was asking Matthew. Um, as you and I are aware, there are motions, and this is kind of like off the topic of the book, but it makes sense. We're off the southern states are trying to still secede
Oh,
from the north, and she was wondering, you know, I know what's going on. I'm not sure how much we can talk about without getting ourselves in trouble. But I know there's because I know you're working on Matthew, in case you know, Jen was working on some maps to show obviously the original southern states, but also some other states that are
Wow.
discussing maybe joining up with us.
Now, yes, and also I've been doing a little bit of history preservation on history that's been forgotten. And I've actually been piecing together, which y'all probably seen that in Spirit of Vengeance, how I released New York City's proposed secession plan. And then it was abandoned because the Union troops had went in there.
I know there are different groups within the South, the SCV, the SIA, the CSA 1 and 2, and some others that I'm not probably privy to. I know that Mindy Esposito Hergert, who's a client of mine for genealogy,
Hmm.
she's also a director on the SIA board. And what they're trying to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, they're trying to politically get the secession done
Yes.
by bringing on congressmen and senators to understand that we just want to be able to live life the way we want to, not the way those in the union do, because
Yes.
there are vast differences of personal beliefs and so forth.
And we believe peacefully it could happen as long as we do this together. We have unity in this. Now, with that being said, we have many differences, unlike, of course, many of the northern states. And this is a big part that plays into it, is what they're doing to us falls under cultural genocide.
And it's not just that; they're also erasing the history out of the books.
A
Uh,
lot
they're,
of it. This is
they're,
part of it, though. They're trying to genocide us of our history. It starts with that, and then they try to wipe us out after that, replace us.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's what the book "Chemtrails Over Dixie" was addressing. I mean, they're still, trying to destroy statues, monuments, paintings, digging up Confederate soldiers and moving them somewhere else because someone's offended. It's time for them to get over it. I know Mindy indicate that if there's ever going to be a possibility of a secession, it's only when President Trump is in office, and that's why they're pushing that now. And that's why she enlisted me to send out letters and so forth to these various people who are coming up for election and reelection. Well,
Yes.
let's table that for now because we're kind of off topic. I want to say howdy to Michael Anthony. Michael Anthony is a longtime friend of mine, and Jen also is a friend of Michael Anthony's. He's watching, and he says, hello, panel and guest. Uh, moving on along, tell us about the massacre at Ruddle Station.
So, yes, my family, the Littons, basically Solomon Litton, he was actually one of the guards of the fort,
Hmm.
and he's seen it firsthand what happened.
Now, folks, just so you know, all the books that Matthew has written is backed up by documentation, letters, photos, and things like that. So he has done his homework in doing this. In fact, when Michael Anthony was on the broadcast when we discussed chemtrails over Dixie, Michael made the joke, not a joke, like comically saying to Matthew, did you get into his books? Because everything that Matthew wrote and talked about is exactly what Michael Anthony himself has also researched. So I've got a short video of the Ruddle Station. Let me get it set up here. Before I do this, Jen, do you have anything next on your list?
No, I don't.
So your list is done?
Yes.
Okay. Boom.
Fort looks like. This is the fort here. Did a bunch of hanging out in it over the weekend. This is the dog trot cabin. We've got a blacksmith shop on this side and Mike Miller's gun shop on the other side. It's interesting because there's not a lot of tools, but the tools we've got in there you can do a lot with. We've got some guys camping here. My buddy Anthony's down there in a A-frame tarp. And we've got some cabins. That far one over there on the other side of the garden, I actually hung out in for hours on Thursday night because we were hiding from the rain. Apparently this wagon bed here used to have wheels on it. That's the spring house. As you can see, the sun is rising. And this big black house, and this big blockhouse on the end here is the common house. So we'll walk into the fort, and here it is. It's not too big, but we've got ourselves an earthen oven, a lot of cabins where the American long rifle guys are here. There's like 3 or 4 guys to a cabin. Another blockhouse down on the other end, and this is it. We're on the other side of the fort now, and there just so happens to be a rainbow in the sky, not just above Martin Station, but pointing towards the Cumberland Gap. There's treasure at the end of the rainbow. So this is the other side of the fort. We were over there to begin with. So this is the second blockhouse, and that's Simeon England's cabin. Don't want to get too close because he's liable to jump out with something deadly, and he's a big dude. Beautiful Cumberland Mountains. And we've got several acres of field up here, and off there, that's where I was camping.
You know, when you think about it, folks, that is absolutely beautiful. A beautiful setting to experience such a horrific attack and massacre of the people. Barbara Amon says, hello, Randy, Jen, and Matthew. Good to see you all. Thank you for being here, Barbara. We're here with Matthew Holmes. He is author and historian of 6 books that I have and Jen have, and we've been doing a review of the books. We're now on, I think, book 5. Book 6 is going to be probably around December, maybe January, depending on how fast I can read that massive book. Just off the top of your head, how long did it take you to write that book?
2.5 years.
Wow. This is what I'm talking about here, folks.
Yeah, that's 400 years of forbidden history there. Now, I got a question for you, Jim. What did you think about Solomon's letter that he wrote at Fort Detroit, how he described it?
I was so impressed. I'm like, was he homeschooled? No, seriously, it was very good. He was very descriptive, and it was beautiful. It was perfect. I mean, I'm not going to correct grammar. I mean, my gosh, the guy's 200 years older than me. You do what you do, but actually 300. But it was good.
The way he describes it, you can feel it, and it'll make you sick to your stomach what he said.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I said, you know, for me to read books and to become part of it and to feel it shows you how well it's written. I mean, I was angry. I mean, I was pissed at the English and the Indians and how, you know, how they treated the native. I mean, they were just there to live and to, you know, religious freedom. Now, I don't know, you know, we don't know what if there was any prior to them building the fort. We don't know any history as far as did we do this to the Indians to get the land to build the fort. I don't know about that. Okay, so
I don't know about that either. I will say this though, and this is probably a very controversial thing to say, but his letter does prove something, that slavery was not just a black issue; it was everybody involved.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, because when you mention in after the fall of the fort, there were 2,000 civilians. Okay, and by the time they got to, I think it was close to Canada, they were down to 1,000 because they were walking in winter with no coats, essentially no shoes, no food. They were forced to eat the people who died. Right?
Yes,
I'm,
and also if they did not follow the orders of McKay, he would have them actually executed on the
yeah, yeah. And he did. And he did execute some. Uh, and it was during this time that they're marching towards Canada, the Revolutionary War kicks in. Okay, and somehow the hostages are aware of the war, so he's writing letters. And I don't know how the hell he's getting those letters out. You didn't address that part. I mean,
Yes,
here
all right,
they
I can do that. Yeah, all right. So Solomon Lytton, he was good buddies with the paymaster, and the paymaster was good buddies with the attorney in Abingdon,
Okay,
Virginia.
okay, I'll back up. The paymaster of the British soldiers.
He was more like a spy, but he was
Okay,
buddies with them.
okay, and that's okay. So he was getting his letters out through this connection with the spy because eventually, someone finally gets his letter. The war has come to an end, and then that's when they say to the British, "You need to release the hostages," and they did.
Still, they held him on for a few years after, but yes, they eventually did.
And made them walk all the way back. It's like, come on, give us a free ticket on the ship. Don't make us walk back. I mean, I tell you. So we're getting close to the end here of this summary of his book. So before we go any further to the guests who are watching, David, Azora, Robin, and Michael, and Barbara, do you have any questions right now up to where we're at? Because this book it's factual. It's not it's a fiction. It's not nonfiction. Is that what I'm looking for? Fake books written
It's good. It's nonfiction. It's a truth.
nonfiction. Okay.
Right.
Uh,
I wanted to say, because I tried to read, a lot of it is hard to read because you're so descriptive and it was so cruel. But I mean, it's truth. It is what it is. So when I was trying to present this and read this to my son, I was
oh,
like,
you read it to your son. Oh my God. What was his impression?
wow. Yeah. So I was trying to compartmentalize this, and I'm like, okay, so when I was talking about the colonel's letter, I was very much focusing on literacy and how well it was written, and it was terrifying, but it was good. But my favorite part, because I really felt empowered, when I think her name is Elizabeth, the wife, the mom in the story,
Hmm.
when Big Fish was outside and he was coming in and he was going to rape her and who knows what he was going to do with the baby. And so she had this steak. It was like probably, I don't know if she had whittled it herself. But she did him in. He went in to take advantage of her, and she took out the bad guy. And I was like,
Yeah, that
that's
impressed
how
me.
it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was happy to. That was
because if I'm not mistaken, she took that steak and stabbed him right in the chest. I
Yes.
mean,
It
woo.
yeah.
was at Fort Detroit when they were sold as white slaves, yes.
Yeah. So next up is Fort Detroit. So let me get this geared up here. Bum. And again, Facebook people, everything we're showing is in the domain of YouTube, and it's for educational purposes only. And no one is making any money off of this broadcast.
In 1763, the Odawa war chief Pontiac led one of the most daring and widespread uprisings against British rule. After the British took control.
I'm sorry, what?
I said I was finished it for you. Or just observing.
Control of French forts following the 7 Years' War, they treated native tribes with open hostility, cutting off trade and refusing to offer the same diplomatic gifts the French had. The tribes, who had fought alongside the French, saw this as a direct threat to their way of life. Pontiac, a brilliant strategist and fierce warrior, knew something had to be done. His plan was bold: unite the tribes and strike back. The British were heavily fortified, but Pontiac had a strategy. He gathered warriors from the Odawa, Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and other Great Lakes tribes and set his sights on Fort Detroit, a crucial British stronghold. In May 1763, Pontiac and his men approached the fort under the guise of peace, carrying concealed weapons and planning to launch a surprise attack once inside. But the British got word of his plan, forcing him to switch tactics. Instead of taking the fort by deception, Pontiac surrounded it, launching a full-scale siege. His warriors cut off supply lines, ambushed reinforcements, and kept the British trapped inside for months. Meanwhile, native forces across the region attacked British outposts, wiping out entire garrisons in a coordinated assault that shook the British to their core. The rebellion spread fast, with over a dozen forts falling to native forces. The British, realizing they had severely underestimated their enemy, were forced to negotiate. Though Pontiac's siege of Fort Detroit ultimately failed, his rebellion forced the British to rethink their policies. King George III issued the Proclamation of 1763, attempting to set aside land for native tribes and limit colonial expansion. But for many native warriors, this was too little, too late. Pontiac's rebellion proved that native unity was a powerful force, and his leadership remains legendary. His war sent a clear message: native nations would not go down without a fight. In 1763, the Odawa war chief Pontiac led one of the most daring and widespread
the other thing too is, you're in, you have extended your forces from England across an ocean and into this new world, and there's millions of them, and you're only probably in the thousands. I mean, you do the math. You piss them off, they'll unite and they'll attack. So here's another one.
Fort Detroit, 1812. Inside, 2,500 American soldiers. Outside Tecumseh with only 600 warriors. The odds looked impossible, but Tecumseh had a plan. He marched his warriors through a forest clearing, again and again. Each time they circled back hidden by trees. War cries echoed across the river. Inside the fort, panic spread. Through gaps in the walls, Americans saw an endless stream of warriors. The psychological trap was set. General Hull, terrified of native warfare, crumbled under pressure. A white flag appeared. The impossible happened. The largest American fort in the Northwest surrendered without firing a shot. Tecumseh had defeated an army 4 times his size, using nothing but clever deception. His British allies were stunned. His enemies were humiliated. Follow for more brilliant military strategies.
Does that sound familiar? I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Bible, wasn't there a fort, and God said to his people to march around the fort?
Sure.
Right. And the walls came tumbling down. I wonder if they read the Bible. I doubt it, but it's amazing. And one more about, we're up to the blue jacket. I want to stop here on the video, Sharon. We know that along with the British, there is Indians, and we know that their treatment of the civilians was absolutely atrocious. Can you tell us a little bit about Blue Jacket before I?
I definitely can. So Blue Jacket, he had. I guess you can say he was a lot more better than McKee. He wasn't as inhumane. He could see that a lot of the tactics they used should never be used. So he was more lenient on them. Even Solomon Whitten said that he would have rather dealt with Blue Jacket than dealing with McKee.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to be more humane because I think if my memory of the book is correct, he actually, when he saw the horrific treatment, he actually took his people and left.
Yes.
So here we are. We're talking about Blue Jacket. Do you know why he got the name Blue Jacket, Matthew?
I could not find that other than the fact that he was a native warrior that this is the French army.
Oh, okay. That makes sense because the French jackets were blue. And he died. He he was a very very powerful Indian warrior, and
Yes,
I give him credit for walking away from when he saw the atrocities being bestowed upon uh, the hostages.
I have a lot of respect for him for that.
So, folks, we're here with Matthew Holmes discussing his book. Let me just change things. Should make my a little bit bigger. There we go. Discussing his road to hell and back. Um, Matthew has agreed to, if you buy his books directly from him, all the books at one time, he'll bundle them together and give you a really good price, and he will also personalize them inside.
Yes.
Um, he has some book he's working on. Can you, as I show your books now, can you talk to us about the book you have in process right now?
Oh, yes. Salt, Blood, and Hell. So, Salt, Blood, and Hell is about my fourth great uncle, and his name was Private Thomas Ferris of the 6th Battalion Virginia Reserves. And through the entire war, up until 1864, he was in Saltville, VA, at the salt capital of the Confederacy, helping protect the salt kettles. And the one who was in charge of the salt kettles was Jeb Stuart's brother, Captain William Alexander Stewart, and he led the Saltville Artillery. So Thomas Ferris, he was actually captured. He had completely run out of ammunition, and it was on October 2nd, 1864. And he was from there captured, and he was sent to the Louisville military prison, and then from there kept chase, where he died from prison neglect.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, aren't you also working on a book about your father,
My grandfather,
your
yes,
grandfather?
the Arm of Faith, about when he got his arm cut off in, I think it was 1987, when he was working at the Virginia House, which was a furniture company, and the machine cut his arm off.
Hmm.
And it cut the bone, it cut all the way to his shoulder, and what stopped it was where he had his Bible in his pocket, and that's where it stopped.
Oh wow, wow.
And after that, he prayed to God that he would have another arm, and God gave him the blueprints to make his own arm. I don't have it, but one of my family members, they got the prototype after he died in 2015.
Wow.
Were they able to put that into production for other people to make take advantage of?
No, he
Oh.
lost the patent in the
Mm.
90s.
Another thing, and we're going to close up here. We're actually almost right on time. It didn't take as long as I thought it was going to. Jen and I have also collaborated on a really neat bookmark. Uh, we chose a heavier uh, uh, paper. It's almost like a plastic. Um, initially we took the four books that we had discussed on broadcast and put them on the bookmark. And
Yeah,
then on the back, we put his bio along with a picture of him wearing a really neat coat. Later, when we got the other copies, we actually changed the bookmark and we added the six on here. And eventually, we'll be adding the other books onto it and pushing this here off to the side. And of course, he's on the back. So, Matthew, as people buy the books directly from him, he'll include a bookmark to each book you guys will
yeah.
purchase from him. And
It'll just
we'll be
take a little bit longer, though, because I have to wait for it to come in.
right. So if you need more bookmarks, let me know. I can send them to you
Yeah.
because I have a few.
Without one order I have to send, I'm waiting on a couple to come in. Brad Bowden's going to buy some from me as well.
Yes, Brad Bowden is one of my clients for genealogy. I got to get that out there, and he is going to do a bundle deal with Matthew and save some bucks on that. We have Irene Crucell is watching. also known as Suzanne Arcado. You came in on the tail end, Suzanne. We're about ready to jump off here. Uh, but I want to quick say Jen and I are going to be doing a meeting every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about couple of different topics. One is going to be something she had brought up before, the American Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Along with that, gee whiz, look at this. Can you believe the South has their own constitution? So we'll be discussing both of these.
Oh, mind if I add something about that too?
Sure, yeah.
About our Constitution. So, in the second article in the Confederate Constitution, did you know that that was the actual first Constitution to actually explicitly outlaw the importation of slavery? The importation of slaves were actually banned in the Confederate Constitution.
Oh, wow. That is cool. Article 7, you said? Article 7.
Article 7, yes.
Wow.
Also, Jen, this is giving a little bit of insight on how Jen thinks. She wanted to do something about the ghosts of Gettysburg,
Does she
and
really?
it just so happened that as a genealogist, I don't make a lot of money, so I reach out to folks, and if I say, hey, if you got any books about the wars, about the Revolutionary, the Civil War, as the Yankees would call it, or the War North South, the World War One, World War Two, before you throw them away, donate it to me. I can use them for my library. And so this is how I got, God, that's not proper English, is it? That is how I was able to get my hands on the Ghosts of Gettysburg.
I like that. Speaking of ghosts, what did you think about a while back when I sent you when they captured ghost soldiers at the reenactment in Stockholm?
Yes, yes, and I also got this one for free. So it just so happens I looked up this guy online, and guess what? He has 10 books. And the neat thing is, I got 8 of them. They're not very expensive books, but he also, because of the content and the truth behind his stories, the folks in Gettysburg actually hired him to do to take people on tours of the ghosts in Gettysburg, and they made him. So that's shows you the authenticity of his books. Um, so I want to just say before we go, does anyone have any questions about our guest Matthew Holmes or of Jen, the homeschooling mom, or myself? And I'll give you guys a moment or two to think about that.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Crickets, 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 crickets. Let's see. I'm looking here. Bum, 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 bum. So this one close ups here saying thank you, David Novar, for watching. Azor Bentingen, Robin Brunson, Michael Anthony, thanks for being here. Barbara Amons, Rosemary Andrews is watching as well as Suzanne Arcado. Thank you again for being here. Matthew, phenomenal books. I can't wait to dig my teeth into this one right here. And like I said, it'll probably take me to Christmas, but I will get it read. And
By
if you, and
the
if you,
time that December comes around, I'm planning to have Salt, Blood, and Hell finished. About
Wow.
in the 6th Battalion Virginia Reserves. I'm pretty sure. I think y'all will enjoy that.
and I would love to get my hands on that copy as soon as you get it done. Jen, I want to say thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you.
What is that?
That's the official cover of it.
Okay, that's cool. I love that. I love that. And just so you know, folks, Matthew does his own creations of his book covers, and some of the images that you'll find inside his book. So I want to say thank you, Jen. I'm going to kick you out first. See you, Jen. Uh, Matthew, I want to say again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for reaching out to me. And you have a great rest of your evening. Take care.
You too.
And with that, I'm going to kick myself out here. Folks, thanks for being here. Please like and share the video. The only way that I do this is if I know that I have people who are willing to watch and participate. Otherwise, this makes no sense. You need the audience in order to do a production. And this does take time. It does take effort. We don't just nilly-willy. I do this for you because I made a promise to several people to discuss about the South and rah for the secession of the South. And thank you, folks, for being here. Now I'm going to kick myself out. You all have a good